We're going to look at the characters to write Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday in this video tutorial. Let's begin with the you'll be the last two characters of each day of the week, just to make sure that you remember their stroke order. Now you'll probably recall that the you'll has a sun element on the left hand side, and there it is in the correct stroke order. Then it has the two wings looking identical to katakana yo. And then we have the bird at the bottom here, and that begins with the element that's just like person, and the bird's head, and four wings like this. And there we have the character for yo. Now to finish off each day, we also need be. So that's an extra sun on the end. That's the correct stroke order. And those are the two characters which are the equivalent to day on the end of the days of the week in English. So we've got yobi. Let's pick up the character which the Japanese use for Wednesday. Here it is. It's the character which has a base meaning of water. We'll have a look at the ancient form of water so that you can see how it was developed. At the bottom of the screen you can see the really ancient characters, the oracle characters, and they're between 3,000 and 4,000 years old. You can see in each case you've got the stream running down the middle. That indicates the river. And then on either side you've got these elements here, which are the banks of the river. The slightly less ancient characters, again, you've got the water down the middle and the banks on either side. You get to the more modern characters, which are only about 2,000 years old. And again, you get that water flowing down. And this one here is very close to the one we use today. So it's got the water down the middle, and then on either side you've got these banks coming in. So the character for water looks like a river, and it's got the water running right down the middle down here with that optional ticky bit there. And then on the left hand side you've got the left bank, and then on the right hand side in two separate strokes you've got 1 and 2, and those banks are squeezing in so that the focus is on the water down the middle, and this element is water. So ichi down the middle, ni all in one, san and shi gives you water. Now when that character for water becomes part of a day of the week, it's pronounced sui, and you can see it over here, water plus the character meaning time flying by, plus the character for sun gives you sui yol bi. Sui yo bi, or Wednesday. Let's move down now to Thursday. Now you can see over here is the kanji for Thursday, and the one they choose to use has a core meaning of tree or wood. And in fact, it really does look like a tree, doesn't it? These are the ancient pictographs, and you can see, well, these are not quite as tree-like as the modern one actually, but if you move down you can see that these characters here are starting to look very much like trees. Quite primitive representation of trees. And what we've got today is very much like this. We've got the trunk down the middle, only these two branches have been flattened out and these two go on a diagonal. And here we have our tree, and we start with our cross stroke first, because that's considered to be the uppermost stroke. This one doesn't count because it goes all the way down to the bottom. So we've got our branch going across, we've got our tree trunk coming all the way down, and then we've got our branches, one out on the left and one out on the right, and that gives us tree. When you add this character for tree, here it is up here, and it's pronounced moku when you use it in a day of the week. You get moku plus yo plus bi, which gives you moku yo bi. Moku yo bi, and that's the Japanese word for Thursday. Let's move down now, and we're looking at the Japanese word for Friday. Here's the main kanji that you see over here, and its core meaning is gold. Before we even start writing the stroke order for this character, I want you to just look at this part of the character, the stroke that goes across here, down in the middle, and across the bottom. Let me just write it up here for you. Across, down, and across at the bottom. Now we've met this character before, and it means earth or ground. Now the stroke along here This represents the ground. Now the small stroke that goes across that we begin with, that represents the 2 leaves which are growing out of the second stroke, which is the stalk. Finally, we have the 3rd long stroke across the bottom, and that represents the ground or the earth. Now you put that together, that does in fact mean dirt, ground, earth, or place. And you can see that that character is actually in the middle of the character for gold or metal. You can see across, down, and that long stroke. So we're just going to bear that in mind when we do the entire character. Now we begin with these 2 strokes. They always go from the top down. So I don't want you to be writing this up and down. You start at the top and you go down on the left, that's the first stroke, and down on the right. Now there are a number of ways that we could remember this, but I'm going to use the example of a mine to help you remember this character. And these 2 strokes here represent the roof over the top of the mine, which is going to keep the rain out and keep the mine safe. Secondly, this stroke here is going to represent the ground level. And then underneath the character here, 1, 2, and that one across the bottom, that's going to represent all the dirt and the soil under the ground that we're going to be digging out to find the gold. So we're going to go across with that stroke, which I just mentioned a minute ago was the 2 leaves growing out of the stalk. Then we're going to go down with the stalk, but we're actually going to stop there. We're not going to complete that across the bottom yet, because we're going to put in 1 gold nugget, another gold nugget, and then we're going to put the ground in across the bottom. And there we have a gold mine, the roof on top, the ground level, the dirt underneath, the 2 gold nuggets, and finally we've got to finish off that element which means soil or dirt. And there you have the character for gold, and it also means metal. And there it is again. Its core meaning, gold. Its pronunciation, kin. We add it to yo, bi, and we get king, yo, bi. King, yo, bi. Friday. Our last day of the week is Saturday, and to write Saturday, we need this element that we've just looked at. You can recognize it probably as being the element meaning earth or soil or dirt, and is the character that's used to represent Saturday. Let's look at its stroke order one more time. And here's our character for earth or soil. We go across for a small stroke, down for a long stroke, and there's the ground underneath. And the way that you can remember this is 2 little leaves there growing up out of this stem, which is growing up out of the ground, and that means dirt or place or soil. And when you use it as a day of the week, it's pronounced do. We add yo, bi to get do, yo, bi. Do, yo, bi. Saturday.